You know, something weird is going on in our social media feeds. There's this invisible battle being fought for our attention, and its goal is probably not what you think. And it usually starts with a voice that sounds, well, a lot like one of us. I mean, you've seen posts like this, right? It feels real. It sounds like a concerned citizen, a worried parent, just trying to figure out a really complicated world. And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because more often than not, behind these seemingly ordinary voices, there's a highly sophisticated machine built for one very specific purpose. Okay, so to get what's happening, we have to realize we're talking about a totally new kind of conflict. The point of this modern information warfare, it's not to change your mind. It's to stop you from being able to make up your mind at all. So here's the key idea. The whole goal is to just exhaust a society's ability to think and act. By flooding the zone with noise, with negativity, with chaos, it makes people feel so tired and overwhelmed that they just check out. They give up. The aim is to create a society that's just frozen, especially when the stakes are highest. And they do this by hitting us on 5 different fronts, all at the same time. First, they amplify fear. Then, they make you feel helpless, like nothing you do could possibly matter. They work overtime to turn us against each other, make us suspicious of everything, and finally, they try to convince you that there's no such thing as truth anyway. It's a perfect recipe for paralysis. So, how do they actually pull this off? I mean, this isn't just a few random trolls in a basement. What we're looking at is the output of a highly organized, almost industrial-scale operation. Seriously, think of it like a factory assembly line. You've got the strategy team at the top, picking sensitive topics to target. Then a management layer is tracking metrics. How far did that angry post spread? How many people did it take off? Then comes the content factory, just churning out thousands of posts. You have actual humans, polishers who make the language sound natural. And finally, an army of bots gives it all an initial push to make it look like it's trending. And don't underestimate this scale here. We're not talking about a handful of accounts. A single big operation can involve literally thousands of coordinated accounts, all pumping out content at the same time to create this tidal wave of what looks like public opinion. But here's the real psychological trick. It's not about having thousands of real people. It's about creating the illusion of thousands of people. When your brain sees the same opinion over and over and over again from what look like different accounts, it starts to think, wow, I guess everybody feels this way. Okay, so what do these manufactured posts actually look like out in the wild? Well, they tend to follow a few very predictable patterns. Each one is designed to hook into a very specific emotion. First up, you've got the fear pattern. These posts paint the absolute worst-case scenario you can imagine. It's all about total destruction, personal danger, anything to make you feel anxious and panicked. The whole point is to make the issue so terrifying that you can't even think about it rationally. Next, they hit you with the helplessness pattern. This one's designed to make you apathetic. The argument is always that any action is pointless, the situation is hopeless. See, if people believe nothing can be done, well, they won't do anything. Then, of course, there's the division pattern. Instead of actually debating an issue, this tactic is all about turning citizens against each other. It takes a policy disagreement and reframes it as a deep moral failing of the other side. Good luck finding common ground with that. Another sneaky one is the relativization pattern. This one attacks the very idea that truth exists. The message is, everyone's lying, so what's the difference? It encourages you to just disengage completely. After all, if you can't trust anyone, why even bother trying to figure out what's real? And all of this, it leads right to the final goal, the exhaustion pattern. This is the end game. This is where they flat out encourage you to be apathetic. They frame checking out of politics as the only sane response to all the noise. And that's the paralysis we were talking about. Okay, so that's the machine and its tactics. So what can we do? How do we defend ourselves? Let's build a simple, practical checklist you can use next time you're scrolling your feed. Just ask yourself these questions. 1. Is this post from an anonymous account, but it's claiming something they heard from a friend? 2. Is it using extreme, over-the-top language, like total destruction? 3. Is it trying to attack a person's character instead of their idea? 4. Have you seen this exact same opinion, just worded slightly differently, like 10 times in the last hour? And 5. Does it offer any solution at all, or is it just screaming, stop, and it's useless? If you're taking those boxes, your spidey senses should be tingling. And this gets to why this whole tactic is just so incredibly effective. I mean, if some outsider criticizes us, our defenses go straight up, right? But when that same message seems to come from an insider, one of us, we hear it as a shared concern. It slips right past our critical thinking filters because it's not arguing with logic, it's just trying to create an emotional atmosphere. So this brings us to the most important part. What can we actually do? Well, the defense against all this, it starts with each and every one of us. Here are 4 simple but super powerful principles. First, go back to basics. Look at original documents. Check multiple reputable news outlets. Second, and this one is huge, just pause. If a post makes you feel a sudden spike of anger or fear, that's a tripwire. That's a signal to stop, not to share. Third, argue the idea, not the person. And finally, remember you don't have to engage. Sometimes the most powerful move is to just be silent and refuse to amplify their message for them. Because really, it all comes down to this. This isn't just about being polite online. This is about security. The first line of defense, the first wall, starts with our own ability to think clearly and to resist being manipulated. So now you know the playbook. You're equipped. The next time you're scrolling through your timeline, you won't just be seeing posts anymore. You'll see the strategy behind them. The only question left is, what are you going to do about it?